Welcome to the short introduction into Gear Rebalance. Gear Rebalance aims to balance all uniforms and gear where necessary. Currently I changed all the uniforms. Ballistic protection, resistance, load and weight were applicable, and I also changed the ballistic stats of the Viper helmet. So to begin, all the civilian clothes, for simplicity's sake, have reduced weight of 1.36 kilos or 3 pounds. And reduced load. Well, depends on which uniform you look at, it's actually improved load, so good thing I balanced them, right? So, 8 workers again are all civilian clothes. Moving on, bandit clothes. Now you could argue that bandit clothes, some of these are retextures, however from a gameplay perspective it makes more sense that the bandits have enough room for magazines, etc., whereas an 8 worker won't be needing such space. For that reason, instead of just having literally every uniform have the same exact weight, I just try to balance it like that. So, as we can see, the bandit clothes from UIC Soldier Bandit 4F, this is independent forces, all had, right about here, 1.81, so 4 pounds, and an increased load. Now again, casual clothes, etc, 1.36. So CBRN suits are a bit of a special case because they are of course CBRN suits, there's not really any pockets around. So as you can see, they have the same stats as the civilian clothes, despite the fact that they're used by NATO, CSAT, etc. So combat fatigues as well, 1.81. Moving on, common and close, similar construction. Moving on. Now fatigues, as you might notice, the ballistic protection from the fatigues is the same as, say, the CTRG combat uniform. This was not the case before this, as the CSAT uniforms, or well, actually code-wise the CSAT soldiers themselves have a higher ballistic protection and explosive resistance built into them. This has now been balanced, so this is no longer an issue. While this also means that they are now equally as affected by, say, a 6.5 bullet, they are at a slight disadvantage because they do not have a chest rig or an actual armor plate in front of them by default. To negate this unwanted effect, I suggest, or at least lessen it, I suggest mixing this with my other mod, Caliber Conversion, which changes the calibers to the realistic equivalent, and simply equipping CSAT with a vest. This should make it even more balanced and a fair fight. Again, fatigues. Now important notice, so the full ghillies obviously way more due to the added camouflage, and they also have an increased load size, which is also the same across factions, which was not the case previously. The CSAT uniforms have slightly decreased load size last time I checked. Gens, Gendarmerie are a faction, that's not civilian, so that's fine. Ghillie suit here weighs slightly less because it's not a full ghillie, but still is a ghillie, and also therefore has an increased load. Again, you could argue that these are the same exact as the civilian clothes, however, as I explained for gameplay reasons, we increase the load here and have it lower for civilians. Now, on that note, these are all independent uniforms, except for this one, which is actually a civilian uniform. However, since it's mainly used by the same faction, the looters, I also increased its weight. This is an interesting exception. The rest of these, again, just faction versus, fighting factions versus civilians. And last but not least, the VR suits I left as they are, because I don't think you're going to be using them if you intend on realism or balance anyway. And yeah, that's pretty much it. One more notice, as I already mentioned at the beginning, the, I believe, yes, special purpose helmet has the same ballistic protection, or yes, the same ballistic protection as the enhanced combat helmet or the assassin helmet. This is achieved by just reducing the effectiveness of the helmet's frontal plate and head plates, or whatever you want to call it. The face shield, my bad, yes. So in general, really good helmets still, but not OP, as you would say. And yeah, that's it already. basically just rebalancing all the uniforms to a reasonable extent. Obviously, these uniforms, I tested them with vanilla loadouts. They shouldn't clash, as in, you should still have all the ammunition that you did beforehand. Overall, it just works. I hope you like this mod, and yeah, that's it.